Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to Midday Live. I am Wendy Lai. Coming up this afternoon. The headlines now: in premises of Geoprofessional Services Mining Company ransacked following the withdrawal of the military. Hundreds of people hit the streets to protest against spate of corruption in the country. Mobile money fraud cases go up in the Ashanti region. We will find out why. And on international front, reports from Egypt say at least 15 Coptic Christians have been killed in an attack by gunmen on a bus in Upper Egypt. We have details of these and many more lined up shortly. We now start with our stories and we head straight to the Ashanti region, where the Regional Police Commander DOP Kenyabwa has disclosed that he has been a victim of mobile money fraudsters on 2 separate occasions. Sharing his experience exclusively with TV3, Kenyabwa underpinned the need for the police to be trained and adequately equipped to deal with electronic crime in the country. The police in the Ashanti region are currently undergoing a capacity building workshop on mobile money fraud. William Evans Inkum earlier spoke to the Ashanti Regional Police Commander and some other stakeholders at the event.
This morning, the police administration here in the Ashanti region have been having some series of capacity building that has to do with money or mobile money. And Commander, the Ashanti Regional Police Commander has a bit of an experience to share with us. So, Commander, on 2 occasions you have fallen victim to this particular scam.
Yes, it's true that I've fallen victim on 2 occasions. The first one was that I transferred money to somebody who actually needed money immediately, and in fact everything indicated that the money had been transferred to the person, and so I called the person to find out whether he's gotten the money, only to be told that yes, it has indicated on the phone, but he went to the place and they said the money has already been cashed, and we reported. And up to now, we could not determine who actually took the money. And so that was the first one. The second one was that I transferred money to somebody, but mistakenly, instead of 1, I made the number 9. And so it went to that person. The person acknowledged it and quickly went and cashed it. So when MTN's attention was drawn to it, they said the money had already been cashed, and the guy promised sending it back, but that was the end of it.
So, Commander, one will say, well, just on the flip side, so if a whole commander has been a victim, then where do we stand as ordinary?
This issue is not a commander issue; it's the issue of any person they are doing it. So it means that anybody,
So now, henceforth, what assurance can you give to the people of the Ashanti region? Because that is your jurisdiction now. As far as this particular capacity, I know it's going to help a lot, but what assurance are you giving to the people of the Ashanti region as far as protecting their money electronically is concerned?
Okay, thank you very much. I think with the training, this capacity building, it will equip people to be able, or that is the investigators, to investigate, to find out what actually went wrong and who are the perpetrators of the crime, and then we'll prosecute them.
Thank you so much. We have been speaking to DCOP Kenyabwa. He is the Ashanti Regional Police Commander. I also have here Mr. Entry Bosiakon. He is also the principal consultant for Crime Bureau. So you were making an interesting submission about the police, the level of their knowledge when it comes to electronic crime and what have you. Do you think that it's been long overdue?
Well, first of all, let's appreciate this. Mobile money fraud, like any other high-tech, crimes that Ghana is addressing is a technology-driven crime. As a result, you don't expect our officers who have been in service for more than 20 years, 15, 30 years to be expert in addressing some of these issues. That's the first thing I think Ghanaians should appreciate. But it also directs us to a certain point that we need to still build in capacity because the dynamic has changed. Criminals are using technology to facilitate their trade, and for that matter, capacity building is necessary. So the mobile money fraud workshop is designed on the basis that, one, the police will have to first of all understand how mobile money operates. Because if you are investigating a case, you need to understand the environment first before you can identify your lease, before you follow the lease, and do a...
And still on crime, in less than a month, the Tema metropolis has recorded 6 robberies, which led to the death of one person's victims of the robberies were carrying large sums of money. Josephine Frimpong takes a look at the threat following the spate of robberies in the metropolis.
On May 3 this year, some alleged robbers snatched 1.6 million cedis and 300,000 CFA from a victim at the black market area at Tema Community 1. On May 10th, a young man was gunned down at the Tema Oil Refinery traffic light junction and robbed of 2.2 million cedis. Exactly 3 days after, on May 13th, 2 mobile money operators at Community 12 were also robbed of 10,000 cedis, recharge cards and phones. On May 17th, a resident at Community 6 was also robbed of 20,000 cedis. The latest, which occurred on May 20th, a Tema-based Burkina-Bay businessman was shot in the leg in broad daylight after robbers snatched an amount of 1.8 million cedis from him at Tema Community 4. The recent developments has created fear among residents.
We don't know what is happening nowadays in Tema. It is really disturbing.
The police must get closer to residents when they find anything suspicious, but residents also must be more security conscious.
The Tema Regional Police Command last year recorded similar robberies and killings. Aside this, residents of Tema New Town this month attacked personnel of the Tema Police Patrol Team for allegedly shooting a resident during their dawn operation. The police said the trend of the robberies are worrying.
We have observed some trend. It's not a complete robbery case. We have realized that sometimes it is as a result of misunderstanding.
Owing to the situation, the police have stepped up policing efforts.
The command has launched the Operation Zero Robbery. We've actually identified where some of these things are frequent and some of these troublemakers are. And we have put intelligence, we have put policemen there to patrol.
But one wonders why an individual will carry huge sums of money around when other alternative means are available.
At the Tema case, there's a trend. It looks as if it's a targeted kind of thing. We are advancing. We need to move away from our cash system to a cashless society where we do all our transactions online. That way, people will not see you holding many form of cash on you.
Emmanuel Kutin, a security analyst, said the complexity of security must be handled well.
It looks as if our police are not getting their acts right. Our patrol teams, by 3 o'clock, they are gone. Between 3 and 6 a.m. is a free period for them to roam around and attack innocent people.
Josephine Frimpong, TV3, Tema.
Away from that story, the leader of Ambazonia of the Southern Anglophone Cameroon, Fonfongo Gojidinka, says the current African Union leadership has failed to resolve the key political issues facing minority groups on the continent. In an exclusive interview with TV3, the leader of the Anglophone Cameroons, who has been championing the fight for independence for Cameroon, said there was nothing to celebrate about the French-dominated Cameroon.
For over 40 years, the leader of English-speaking part of Cameroon, from Fongun Koje Dinga, who is currently in exile in the UK, has been communicating with his people only through social media.
You know, the social media has made it so easy that even from here, I can talk to people back home. I can even photo, they can photo or see what I'm doing here. So social media is one which keeps us in contact. I am able to direct them, stay quiet, don't do this, because whatever you do, you get executed.
He is a wanted man in his native country, Cameroon, as he is considered a threat with his persistent zeal for independent Anglophone Cameroon known as Amazonia. He is worried atrocities committed to English-speaking Cameroonians have still not caught the attention of African leaders.
People suddenly disappear. You don't know where this man has gone to. Some have been arrested. They rape women right in this open street. You can see people being beaten right in the street there, killed, and they bury them in mass graves. This one is more than slavery.
On the occasion of the 54th anniversary of the African Union, the leader of British Cameroon insists the Union has been a failure in supporting the oppressed minority.
As far as this our case is concerned, yes, we lost confidence. We actually took the matter to Banjul. Banjul, well, they said, well, you go and negotiate with Cameroon. It's a fiasco. African Union as it is, until those French Francophone presidents, something changes their thinking, that is when we can make African Union of any use.
He blames the development on Francophone members of the African Union.
But you know very well that AU is everybody is watching his friend's back door to make sure that he stays in power. And the AU we have is full of Francophone presidents. And each Francophone president is a mask. The real face behind the mask is the ambassador of France in that country.
Amazonia currently has a population of about 6 million, forming 26% of Cameroon's total population. The separatist group declared to leave Cameroon in 1984 after the second Francophone president of Cameroon, Paul Biya, unilaterally changed the name of the country from United Republic of Cameroon to the Republic of Cameroon, a name French-speaking Cameroon acquired at independence on January 1, 1960, before joining Southern Cameroon on October 1961.
Let's look at some more stories. And the Ghana Meteorological Agency will from June adopt social media as additional means of transmitting weather reports across the country. The Director General of the agency said this is intended to get information closer to the public, expand its reach, and also make it easier to understand weather warnings.
The traditional media, getting constant access to regular weather report has always been an issue in Ghana. At the moment, the Ghana Meteorological Agency sent text messages to about 1,000 residents in the 3 northern regions, updating them on the weather. The 4-day seasonal forecasting forum in Accra was to identify more modern ways of getting weather report across. The forum attracted meteorologists from across Africa. A Deputy Communications Minister, George Anda, charged the Ghana Meteorological Agency to improve on their services to make information accessible.
I challenge you that let us look at the new ways of engaging the consumers of our data. I look around the table and I think that the average age of the participants here are quite young, and I'm sure most of you have Twitter and Instagram accounts, and I would like to see, I will actually make a conscious effort to follow this activity on Twitter and Instagram and see how far you're taking your research findings.
In response, the Director General of the agency said plans are far advanced to start rolling out new ways of transmitting information.
Let's give ourselves up to somewhere in June. You will notice that there's a marked change in what we are producing. We would have moved from the traditional way of sharing weather information to modern ways of sharing weather information. Okay. My problem is majority of the users of our information may not necessarily have access to Twitter and things of that nature, but we will still go ahead and at least maybe somebody privileged to hear that information can share it with somebody who is not privileged.
The workshop was also to come out with seasonal outlook for rainfall in the sub-region. In Ghana, normal rains are expected this year, but the rest of West Africa will experience normal to slight rainfalls.
And still staying with the weather, we have some marine weather warning coming in and a moderate rainstorm observed today. That's May 26, 2017 at 1100 UTC currently over southeastern coast of Ghana, and Togo is expected to produce moderate to heavy rains and cast cloudiness with thunderstorms over the eastern coast of the country. The rainstorm is expected to propagate westward to affect the following coast through quite far from these coastlines and their environs, and places which are likely to be affected include the expected time range, that's UTC, Aplau, Denu, Pibek, Keita, that's from 12 hours to 15 hours. Adar, Prampram, Temateshi, that's 1330 hours and 1630 hours. Winneba, Apam, Mankisim, Salt Pond, Cape Coast, Commander, that's 1430 to 1830 hours. Shama, Takrade, and some others between 15 to 19 hours. You're still watching Midday Live, and let's move on to some other stories. But remember, you can get interactive. Send your comments on our social media platforms, Facebook and Twitter, News on TV3. Let's look at the other stories now. On the premises of the Geoprofessional Services Company in Tontokum in the Ashanti region has been ransacked by unknown persons. This follows the arrest of 4 expatriate managers of the mining company for allegedly engaging in illegal mining.
Doors and windows of offices and residential accommodation had been removed. Also destroyed were glass windows and doors. Information picked up indicate some residents attacked the site after military and officers stationed there were withdrawn. Residents have accused the mining firm of operating beyond its concessions and causing harm to the environment. Residents of affected communities in 2003 attacked the company, destroying structures and equipment. The company has been asked to halt operations after the Lands Minister personally ordered the arrest of some expatriates at the site.
This place, they can't come here and do those things because everything must be what? Be based on law, and there is no way you can this item destroy. If you go there and take the pictures, it's an eyesore. It's very, very, very pathetic for them to come and do that, stealing everything, destroying everything. That is not the best thing that they should have done.
The Member of Parliament for Manso Edubia Yao Frempong, however, denied the involvement of residents in the attacks. He rather blamed the situation on the withdrawal of police and military personnel from the site without any alternative security for the company.
There was a security gap, unannounced withdrawal of the security here, no replacement naturally. And this place, this is not the first time something like this is happening here. So people should have known with hindsight that, look, something like this has happened here before. So you don't leave a vacuum like that.
Some residents and Galamsey operators have already taken over mining pit of GPS Limited.
You're still watching Midday Live. Let's move on. And the Accra Metropolitan Assembly has served a notice to close down an illegal dump site on Ringo South known as the Klep site. The move is part of the city authorities' effort to rid the city of filth.
The Klep site was a landfill site but was decommissioned by the EMA. It was developed into a recreational park under the Kole Lagoon Ecological Restoration Project, Klep, almost 2 decades ago but deteriorated due to neglect. Earlier this year, a group of unauthorized persons opened the site for use as a dump site which was mostly patronized by informal waste collectors for a fee.
Henceforth, All tricycle and other non-conventional waste collection vehicles are directed to use the following transfer stations: the Kokumlemle Mini Transfer Station, the Tidy Up Mini Transfer Station located at Malam behind the interchange, the Achimota Transfer Station, which was commissioned last week. All waste collectors who fail to comply with the above directives shall face the full rigors of the law.
He warned all illegal structures along the site will be demolished after 2 weeks. On May 9, 2017, the Metropolitan Chief Executive Mohamed Ejei Sowa outlined a program towards the realization of President Akufo-Addo's vision of making Accra the cleanest city in Africa. Among the outlined strategies is for the AMA to evacuate all refuse heaps and close down all illegal dump sites.
So let's move on to some of the trending issues that have been happening across the country. One on corruption, and one of the members of the implicated, who have been implicated in the NCA deal, is willing to cooperate with the investigation on which is ongoing, and has gone ahead to issue a press statement. And these are some snippets of the statements. The National Security, that's National Communications Authority, as well as transaction about which his company is connected, that's Infralux Development Limited. He's doing this very reluctantly because of the confidential nature of the contracts involving very sensitive matters of national security, the security implications and contractual obligation of utmost confidentiality. Notwithstanding, he feels compelled in the present circumstances and for what he perceives should be in the public interest to share the hard facts. So this afternoon, I have been joined by Adam Senano. He is the co-chairman of the Citizens Movements Against Corruption and also an anti-corruption crusader. Good afternoon, Ed.
Good afternoon.
Adam, and thanks for your time.
Thank you too.
Now, corruption is quite a heavy tax and quite difficult to deal with. And also, the fight may only be on hearsays. For example, this morning, a group demonstrated in Accra demanding action from government about the alleged corruption cases in the media. Why should this happen without concrete evidence? Should this actually happen?
Well, I'm not quite sure when you say there's no concrete evidence. If you take the NCA case...
Because sometimes these come up as allegations and investigations are started. But once individuals hear that there's this happening here or that happened or this has come up, then some of them even take up arms and say that, okay, if this matter is not dealt with, we're going to use our own means to get results. Is that right?
No, it's not right, but I think it's also a reflection of the fact that over the years, we have not seemed to take robust actions in terms of finding people culpable. So there's a sense in which the public and the citizens are getting fed up and saying, why is it that we don't see any cases coming to conclusion, we don't have anybody being held accountable, and therefore it seems as if we have to do something ourselves, and that's dangerous. There's a bit of a system failure because we don't have rapid prosecution of these cases, and we are not finding people culpable. And once that's not happening, people just think that, look, if we are struggling and others seem to be taking our money and enjoying it, we may take the law into our own hands. So that's an unfortunate situation.
And the recent one has to do with BNI, and that's National Security and the National Communications Authority, where we have the National Communications Authority coughing up some money for some equipment to be used to fight terrorism in the country. What do you make of this? Should this happen in the first place?
That's the most shocking case I've heard in a very long while. I mean, the first thing is to have somebody of the intelligence systems of Ghana at such a high level involved in this type of corruption and fraud. And then the amounts being talked about are not amounts that ordinarily one could sign off on. Because of the ceilings you have for various chief executives, it's unimaginable that without consultation with the board, with the management, people could sign off and have that type of amount of money transferred. It seems to me there's a more systemic problem, and it goes beyond just retrieving the money. one needs to do an audit of what kind of systems were in place and how were they able to maneuver around these in the absence of board approval, etc., to take that amount of money and share it. It's a horrendous one because you have the intelligence officers involved, and it's important that we quickly prosecute. I hear the gentleman is still at large. I think it's important that he's found. The last time the minister was speaking, he said they had not yet alerted Interpol, etc. I don't think that's a safe way. We want him picked up immediately and quite an in-depth investigation.
Are you referring to George?
I can't remember the name. The deputy security.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this, like you said, is a sensitive issue because we have state security officials involved in this, and we also have NCA, we have an individual, and then also an Israeli institution. And you are an anti-corruption campaigner. You mentioned that you haven't had such a case in a long while. Are we working at corruption in any way? Are we making headway?
It does not appear that we are making substantive headway. It's worrying. And so the president speaking up yesterday is encouraging, but we need a lot more tangible actions. We have the Right to Information Bill that ought to be passed so that many more people can see things and report them. We have the Public Officers Code of Conduct Bill that ought to be passed so that there is and it's a very good piece of legislation. So that we can hold people accountable. We have to redo this asset declaration thing. Otherwise, people, we don't know what they had before they came in and what they are doing. That's an issue. We have the Whistleblowers Act that's supposed to have a fund that gives incentives to people who report. The fund is not yet operational, etc. There's so much to be done. We have a NACAP which is not funded. And so the institutions are supposed to find their own ways and means of raising funds for their parts of it. That's not the way to go. We ought to ring fence monies as a nation and give it so that these things can. We don't seem to be doing enough.
And early on, you made a comment about not just returning the money, but they should be held accountable.
Exactly.
And in this case, we've heard that some monies have been returned. Again, back to that question, although you touched on it briefly. Should we let them go?
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't. In fact, it sets a very wrong precedent where it appears that at their own leisure and pleasure, they can pay back. What it means is that I can decide to move, and by the way, we are not talking about $20,000 or 50. I mean, even talking about $50,000, converting it to cedis is a lot of money. You're talking about millions of dollars. It does not speak well of us where it appears that we have taken the position, okay, let's retrieve the money. And after that, we'll take a decision on whether we'll prosecute you. No. They ought to have been picked up and the processes for prosecution, because these are criminal. It's criminal. This is a classic example of create, loot, and share. And we need to set those examples in the public space. The faster we do that, the more it serves as a deterrent. Otherwise, it appears there's no risk. There's very little risk to taking the money. After all, they'll let me pay it back. And then after
Again, there are some school of thoughts that believe that when they pay these monies, they should pay interest on these monies. Look at Woyomi's case, for example. Look at these person's case, for example. And the issue about interest is just put under the shelf, and it becomes just one of those cases. What do you make of paying interest?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, I'm not in agreement with the perspective that let's allow them to pay at their own, on their own terms. That's just not acceptable. Now, if you choose to do that, then it will make sense to me that that money would have been working for the people of Ghana elsewhere. And so one could consider some form of interest. I think that what is more important is setting the example. Because we seem to have lost our moral fiber as a society. Integrity has been thrown out of the window. And so a lot of things are happening, and the kind of shock, we don't seem shell-shocked again. It's like it's a very casual issue. It's an ordinary day thing. And you can just imagine what that means to the next generation of Ghanaians. It's becoming too, frequent, too often, and so on and so forth. So we need to take much more robust and, very comprehensive actions that serve as deterrence. We've not seen enough of those type of actions where we have clamped down on such things and personalities. So everybody say, hey, you can't do this. It's early days in a new government. This is the time to set those examples and precedents that speak miles, so that anybody else who is thinking, I'm going to collude with A, B, C, D.
But the president has mentioned that he won't shield these corrupt officials. Is that enough?
No, because we have current cases that are upsetting. Yeah, I mean, the sensibilities of Ghanaians are shocked, even with the current cases. A lot of us are just listening and thinking, did you say $3 million? And they just shared it. we need to show actions on that. Then people know that the language, what we are saying, and our actions are aligned. And that gives us room to believe that, look, things are going to happen.
All right, let me just hold you then. Still talking about corruption. Thousands of Ghanaians hit the streets of Accra on Friday to join in the Yeheji Sika demonstration to protest against the high level of corruption in the country. Now, thousands of these protesters converged at the Brass Sport at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle and marched to the offices of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO. Host of Adom FM's morning show, Captain Smart wants EOCO to investigate persons alleged to have been involved in the corrupt acts in various reports, especially in the Auditor General's report. According to him, the AG's report over the past 3 years reveals that an amount of $1.2 billion have been embezzled by public officials.
Now, they've given us the assurance that they will go through the documents, re-investigate, arrest where necessary, and prosecute, and get the money back to the state's coffers.
They said 1 week, but you have given them 3 months. Why is it so?
Yeah, I think that will be enough. They are saying that by 1 week, they'll finish reading all the over 300 documents we've presented to them. They'll read it in 1 week, and that's a good sign that they are prepared. They also told us that they need the support of the civil society, like what we've been able to do today. And their only mandate is to investigate and arrest and prosecute people who have committed financial crimes.
Okay, per your documents, how much are we talking about?
We are talking about $1.2 billion. $1.2 billion. My brother, look, let's be realistic. That's why I said that we need not to do politics with corruption.
Right, so these are Ghanaians and they're exercising their rights, but should we get here in the first place?
Well, we shouldn't have, but what they're doing is good. I mean, citizens need to galvanize, need to mobilize. Really speaking, I mean, ultimately, it's the people of Ghana that can bring the change. Because there are two issues. One, we need to do quite a bit of introspection. A lot of what we are seeing at the high levels of public space are a reflection of what is happening in a Ghanaian society. And so we need to be looking at our ethics, our morals, what is happening in the schools, what is happening in church. Quite a lot more reflection on how we expand getting people to understand that one needs to be patriotic. A lot more civic education. So I'm happy that citizens are coming out. The more we come out, the better. But more crucially, we ourselves should not be part of it, because a lot of this is happening in small places, a lot of things going wrong where people are engaging in influencing people and accepting bribes. If all of us as Ghanaians decide that we're going to take up this fight more seriously, we'll see the kind of change that we want to see in the nation.
Right. Thank you so much, Adam Senanu, for your time. I've been speaking to him. He's a co-chairman of Citizens Movement Against Corruption. And we've been talking about anti-corruption and what should be done in corruption as well and the way forward. But we do have some information here on scandals that have also come up. Definitely corruption-related scandals in our country. And the first we have is $2.25 billion bond deal. Made a lot of noise about it. NCA scandal, which is one of the very latest, $8 million. And the CocoBot CEO salary saga. The media went on and on about this. But we'll bring you some more of these in our subsequent bulletins. You're still watching Midday Live. Do stay.
Would you like some water? It's cold, especially for you.
Which era are you living in? We have a fridge.
When everything else in your house is from the present, then why are your toilet cleaning methods from the past? Harpic, all-in-one for you. Compared to other toilet cleaners, Harpic removes top stains, kills all germs, and removes bad odors for a shining, clean, and fresh toilet.
Wow.
You should also take the Harpic
all-in-one challenge.
When the news breaks, reporters and anchors broadcast it. Analysts will talk about the impact of this on society. But current affairs will set the agenda for policymakers to implement it. This is what we do on Agenda. It's sharp, authentic, and hard-hitting. My name is Deborah Kwabla. Join us as we set the agenda.
Agenda now shows on Sundays at 3 p.m. only on TV3 and is supported by 3FM 92.7 Accra.
My name is Kate Kwoti-Papafio, the CEO of Rural Cables. To be an entrepreneur, to be an industrialist is an honor. We all need to start from somewhere. Join me on time with the captains on 29th on TV3 at 6 p.m.
TV3, first in news, best in entertainment.
Thanks for staying. It's time for business. And insurance practitioner Edgar Redu has challenged the decision of the National Insurance Commission to revoke the license of any insurance company which fails to meet the new capital requirements. Insurance companies in the country have up till the end of June to meet the new capital requirements to escape possible revocation of license.
Following Ghana's entry into the League of Oil-Producing Countries, regulators in the financial sector have compelled industry players to increase their capital base to conform to the country's desired status as the financial hub of the sub-region. Under the recapitalization, direct insurance companies are expected to increase their capital to 15 million cedis, whilst reinsurance companies are to recapitalize to 40 million cedis. The desire by insurance companies to fulfill this requirement has led to the country recording its first merger of local insurance companies. Regency Alliance Insurance and NEM Insurance Ghana Limited pooled resources together in a bid to meet the new capital requirements for insurance companies. So far, 50 companies have met the requirements, leaving only one. The regulator has subsequently given the company up to the end of June this year to recapitalize or have their license revoked. But insurance practitioner Edgar Redu has challenged that decision.
So far as the minimum requirement is there and you have not been able to up it, does not mean that you have to be, delisted or your license must be revoked. What the industry needs to do, or the commission needs to do, is to ensure that they put a certain monitoring system in place to ensure you don't underwrite certain businesses that would create problem for you in the event of a claim, coming in.
Analysts had predicted an increase in mergers and acquisition following the new capital requirements, just like it happened in the case of Nigeria. But that was not to be. First Vice President of the Ghana Insurance Association, Edward Fokwoche, says insurance companies will now have the financial wherewithal to undertake big-ticket transactions.
Companies were given enough time in terms of when this was going to take effect, either introducing some new shareholders or finding other means to meet the capital. It also means that we are now in a position to introduce efficiency to deliver efficiently.
Conservative estimates that Africa loses as much as $50 billion each year through money that is illegally earned, transferred or used. The Global Finance Integrity GIF reveals trade misinvoicing accounted for 68.8% of all illicit outflows from sub-Saharan Africa between 2003 and 2012. Ghana loses close to $2 billion annually through illicit financial flows.
Corruption, money laundering, tax evasion and avoidance are some of the avenues used for illicit financial flows. At the launch of a campaign against illicit financial flows christened Stop the Bleeding by ISODEC, an economic specialist with the UNDP, Kojo Sedega, suggested institutions should not be blamed anytime something goes wrong.
The institutions are run by people, and if people sit and watch and things pass by, it is their mistake, it is their fault. So we need to be holding people accountable than blaming it on the institution, and because the institution is just there as a structure and infrastructure, and we cannot necessarily say, okay, let's hold the institution responsible. But there are leaders of those institutions that must be held accountable.
A joint report by African Development Bank and Global Finance Integrity revealed Africa lost as much as $1.4 trillion in illicit financial outflows from 1980 to 2009. Ghana loses close to $2 billion each year through illicit financial outflows. A tax expert, Abdallah Ali Nachia, is of the view that by blocking the loopholes in the tax administration alone, Ghana may not need foreign assistance.
My concern has always been when I came across the report published by ASEP that indicated that report was in February 2015, that Ghana lost 14.39 billion between 2002 and 2011 from the natural resource sector only. That's a 10-year period. It means on average we're losing $1.4 billion. Then I come to think of it. We went to IMF for $938 million over 3 years.
He indicated the need to go beyond naming and retrieval.
I keep saying Ghana, we have the best laws you can find anywhere. Our problem is implementation. Name, recover, and punish. If you name the person, you recover and punish him, it's shameful.
Chairman of Tax Justice Coalition, Vitus Azim, stated illicit financial outflows undermine domestic resource mobilization.
Illicit outflows create dependence on outside resources. We are always dependent on loans. Now we are even on commercial loans, thereby undermining national sovereignty and created vulnerability to unfair conditionalities tied to development assistance, foreign loans and aid.
He recommended the need for a revamp of the customs database to enable meaningful usage by a wide range of users and researchers, as well as governments in the various sub-regions strengthening their tax authorities.
Some business economists have welcomed the central bank's reduction of a policy rate by 100 basis points. They said the decision by the MPC was prudent, optimal and good for the market, and that a reduction of more than 100 basis points would mean further risk, which is likely to destabilize the economy.
The Bank of Ghana reduced the policy rate by 100 basis points to 22.5% in the first MPC meeting chaired by the new Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Ernest Addison. The monetary policy rate, MPR, is the rate at which commercial banks can borrow from the central bank. Head of Finance Department of the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Godfred Bokbane, was of the view that the 100 basis points reduction was appropriate as the economy is not yet out of the woods.
We do not have enough room to do a drastic reduction in the policy rate as a way of easing the credit stance and cut the private sector by easing the restrictions on the growth drivers. And it's also important that they watch development in the space, because our economy's resilience to shocks is very, very small.
Senior research fellows at the Institute for Fiscal Studies deemed the policy rate reduction as appropriate for the economy. Dr. John Kwachi said the committee's assessment of growth outweighing the upside risk to inflation outlook was appropriate.
In consideration of the fact that inflation was still under control, the forecasts were showing, and the Bank of Ghana's own medium-term target were on course, and therefore the committee decided that it will reduce the policy rate. I think it was the right decision to take at this point.
Dr. Said Boachi called on the Bank of Ghana to ensure that there is a corresponding downward trend in the cost of credit to reflect the reduction in the policy rate.
Over time, if the rate continues to go down, then you see that significantly banks will be responding. So we expect the rate to go down, and I advise the Bank of Ghana to ensure that the rate goes down drastically, in the sense that, this rate is supposed to be used to fight inflation. But over time, we've recognized, studies have shown that its impact on inflation is not so much. Nevertheless, the policy rate has a huge impact on cost of credit and, for that matter, the real sector.
All right, so that's all for business, but next we have sports.
Yes, Jordan Ayew now with a chip.
Bolt going very near, comes Usain Bolt! Usain Bolt storming through, he takes it again, Blake!
Sports Station shows every Monday at 9 p.m. on TV3 and is brought to you by Cowbell, Our Milk, Malta Guinness and Betway.
Warm Up shows every Saturday at 10 a.m. Make a date on TV3 and is brought to you by
MTN, everywhere you go.
My name is Kate Papafio, the CEO of Railway Cables. To be an entrepreneur, to be an industrialist is an honor. We all need to start from somewhere. Join me on time with the captains on 29th on TV3 at 6 p.m.
TV3, first in news, best in entertainment.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Midday Live here on TV3. My name is Anako Jafre with the sports updates. And Black Stars coach James Kwesi has released a 30-man squad for his next 3 assignments as Black Stars coach. So the understanding is that Achu is not part of this team due to injury. When you begin from the goalkeeping department, Richard Ofori, who was at the 2017 Nations Cup in Gabon, makes the goalkeeping department together with Adam Korase, who makes a return to the team, Felix Anan of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, and Joseph Ado. Defensively, Ghana will be looking at the likes of Harrison Affle, Daniel Amate, Lomo Agbenyonyo, who gets into this team. He plays for Munich 1860 in Germany. Daniel Dakwa, a local player with a Diana stars, also get into the team, and so is John Boy of Sivasspor in Turkey. The rest of the defenders who Kwesi is counting on to do Ghana good in his next 3 assignments also include the likes of Rashid Sumaila. After a long absence, he gets back into the team. Nicholas Opoku is one of the outfield players selected by Kwesi Appiah. He plays for Brekum Chelsea in the Ghana Premier League. Jonathan Mensah plays for Columbus Crew, a regular with the team. But a lot of people are happy with the fact that Jerry Akamenko is back in this team again after suffering an injury against Netherlands prior to the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. After 3 years, he gets back into the team, and so is Samuel Safo, the Liberty Professionals captain. In midfield, there is Mohamed Abu, also plays his football in USA for Columbus Crew. Friaka of Torino makes the squad. Isaac Saki of Antalyaspor in Turkey and Thomas Partey, who has had an incredible season with Atletico Madrid in Spain, also gets into this team as well. Let's look at the rest of the players Kwesi Appiah will be counting on in his next 3 assignments. And as we go on, we will see some of the players. But remember that out of this team is a regular name that has always warmed the bench. Edwin Jima is not part of it. Mubarak Wakaso is not part of this team. Razak Brahma, the goalkeeper, is also not part of this team. Wilfred Kobna has been selected. He plays for Accra Tofuk. Yaya Bua, the young man who shined at under 20 level, also plays for FC20. He gets into this team. And there's Ebenezer Ofori, who plays for Stuttgart in Germany too as well. And in attack, it will be the regular suspect that Kwesi Appiah will be counting on. And Captain Asamoah Gyan will lead the attack in as far as the attack is concerned as a forward. But before we even get there, other midfielders include Frankie Champon, Andrea Ayew, Godswill Donyo, who plays in Netherlands, also gets into this team. Thomas Ejapon plays his football in Holland for NAC Breda too as well. So I'm sure from here we'll show you the forwards that the new Ghana coach Kwesi Appiah will be counting on in his next 3 assignments. The first one is a 2019 Nations Cup qualifier against Ethiopia at the Kumasi Sports Stadium. Asamoah Gyan, Jordan Ayew, Majid Waris, Abdul Majid Waris left out by Avram Grant for the 2017 Nations Cup in Gabon. He's get back into the team. So is Raphael Jemina, who now plays his football for FC Zurich in Switzerland. And this weekend, the Ghana Premier League returns. Let's bring you the list of fixtures to expect on match day 16 of the Ghana Premier League. It will be excitement at all venues as far as the Ghana Premier League is concerned. In Accra, there's Accra Hearts versus Liberty Professionals. Same here, far away in at the Elwak Sports Stadium. Inter Allies will take on the league leaders Wafa. Mediama will be up against Boga All-Stars at the Takwa TNA Park. Ebuswan Dwarfs take on Elmina Sharks in the Central Region Derby. In the Wa All-Stars will be up against Ashanti Gold. Ashanti Gold will hope that the second round of the Ghana Premier League will mark a return to form for them as well. Diana Stars chasing Wafa Kinley will be up against Bichim United in the Branhafo Derby. Great Olympics will be up against Brekum Chelsea. The last time they played, it was a 1-1 draw. Olympics will be hoping that they can win this one. And Tema Youth will be up against Kumasi Asante Kotoko in Tema. Before we wrap up, let's do some golf news where Tiger Woods says he hasn't felt this good in years after having a 4th operation on his back, but added he will not hurry to return to golf. America's 14-time major champion, who is now 41, came back after 15 months out injured in December, but has not played since his back problems recurred in February. Plans to compete at Australia in April on the 20th anniversary of his first Masters win had to be abandoned. Woods' first return to competitive action came in December at the Hero World Challenge, an 18th tournament in Bahamas, and finished 15th at the PGA Tour. And that's all the sports here on Midday Live. My name is Asiedu-Dartey. Thanks very much for watching. Back to Wendy.
Thank you very much indeed, Nana Kojo Afra. Enjoy the rest of your day. But we'll continue with our bit on corruption. And early on, I showed you some visuals of some persons marching, hundreds of persons marching to the Economic Crime, Organized Crime Office to air their concerns on corruption and also give an ultimatum to them to solve some of the issues or concerns related to corruption. I do have one of the front runners here. He's in the person of Captain Smarts, the host of our Dome FM's morning show. Good afternoon, Captain.
Good afternoon,
Now, we saw what happened earlier, but you have given Iyoko an ultimatum of 3 months. Right?
Yes.
And if you don't get the results you want, what will happen?
We're definitely going to get results. And they would definitely have to find us results. And we're going to get the results after 3 months.
And if you don't?
We will get it.
That's if you don't as well.
If we don't, the don't will never occur. We will get the results. Because they themselves told us that 3 months is too much for them. They need just 1 week to go through the documents, and then they would invite us next week.
That's a 300-page document.
Yes, 310 different documents. They will go through, and then a week exactly today, they would invite us to the office and help them to start the process.
All right.
We've told them to reinvestigate, arrest, and prosecute when necessary. So definitely we're going to get results.
All right. So I have been speaking to Captain Sparks, and he's one of the anti-corruption campaigners, and they have given Iyoko a 3 months ultimatum. He's confident that they would get the results and answers they want. You're still watching Midday Live. Let's go for international news now.
Report from Egypt say at least 15 Coptic Christians have been killed in an attack by gunmen on the bars in the Beni Suef governorate in Upper Egypt. The report quotes privately owned Copt United website as saying ambulances are rushing to the scene. Coptic Christian community in Egypt have of late been subject to militant attacks. At least 46 people were killed in attacks on 2 churches in Tanta and Alexandria on April 9. Justice Mandisa Maya has been appointed President of South Africa's Supreme Court, the first woman to hold the post. This is the 3rd highest position in the court after the Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice. Justice Maya served as a Supreme Court judge in Namibia in 2008 and a Court of Appeal judge in Lesotho in 2015. Directly before her appointment, she was the acting president of the Supreme Court.
Now for entertainment.
Entertainment news is brought to you by
And entertainment this afternoon, Afro-pop star Easy says he's not worried about not winning the VGMA Best African Act. He said the recognition and support from his fans was enough to keep him going. He spoke to Adra Mofose.
Anointing hit maker Mr. Easy says though he did not win the Best Africa Act at the just-ended VGMA, he holds no grudge against organizers. He said there's room for improvement for every musician, and his fans gives him the most excitement, and that urges him to keep improving and churn out good music.
No, I wasn't disappointed in any way. For me, the awards is in the fans. I'm all about vibes, all about positivity, and I'm always about positive over negativity.
If you give your heart to me, I no go let you go. Where I no go do you, basa baby, trust in me.
Talking about artists in Ghana, the leg over hit maker said they were doing well, but he named his best 5 artists as
Sako there, Shatawale, R2Bs, Bisake there, and One Love.
Whilst he sees Efia, more of a big sister, and AMG Medical, his best rapper currently, he predicted Fancy Gadam to be the next big thing in Ghana's music and hinted also that he's single and available.
My baby give me leg over, hangover. Baby she dey give me hangover. Hey.
All right, so fans of Easy, you heard that for yourself. That'll be all for this afternoon. Thank you so much for watching Midday Live. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a blessed afternoon. I'm Midday Live.